Alright then, I'm going to get a few things from the store so I can finish my very first YouTube video. I'll try to not take too long. Boy, that line sure was no joke. Ah shoot, I forgot about that. But first... Nope. Yes. I know what you folks are thinking. Your next line will be 2017? Silly Louis, you're a little late for that.
2017? Silly Louis, you're a little late for that.
Sure, I'm definitely late for this, but I didn't start this channel until March of this year, and 2017 had a plethora of incredible games. Personally, I think it was one of the best years we had in a long time. I wasn't sure if I should have done this video, but my Facebook friends spoke their minds, so here we are now. This is my personal top 10 best games of 2017. Never in my life did I ever imagine I would love a mobile game this much. It's not a secret that I'm a huge Fire Emblem fan, so there's a little bit of bias here. Still, that doesn't mean I'm always going to eat everything Intelligent Systems throws at me, but Heroes is a genuinely enjoyable game that can satisfy both classic and modern fans alike. It borrows a lot of the core elements from the series like the grid-based maps, the weapon triangle, and different classes with strengths and weaknesses. But since it is a mobile game after all, it shrinks everything into more bite-sized experiences. Heroes brings together a whole bunch of characters from the entire series, and it does this with a gacha system. That means that you can use in-game currency to randomly summon characters, and if you're impatient enough, you can use real money for another chance to summon your JPEGs. But what I like about Heroes is how generous it is to free players. Just to set up an example, I have played this game almost every single day since its release, and I have barely spent any money, and I can safely say I got a decent amount of competent heroes. It started out very shallow, but with time it has added more features and mechanics to give it more depth, and it still goes on at the time of this video. It's also neat that with enough investment and patience, any character in this game can become very good. Where Heroes suffers the most, however, is in the power creep that comes with some banners and the artificial difficulty. But regardless, I respect Heroes for keeping my attention this long. I love seeing my favorite characters, give them different builds, make them prettier with accessories, and see if the new banners will have something worth my time. The Xbox One stands out to me as being a console who has disappointed me in every single way. Dead Rising 3? It's alright, not as good as 1 or 2. Conquer is back? Oh, it was Project Spark. Banjo-Kazooie? Still dead. Scalebound, a character action game directed by Hideki Kamiya himself? Oh my god, this is gonna be awesome! Cancelled. Every time this console holds my interest, it drops it off my hands and then it kicks me in the nuts. But in 2017, Microsoft, along with the indie studio AMD HR, made an exception with the release of Cuphead, a game that had my attention since its announcement in 2014. My excitement for this game was strong enough that it made me kindly ask my friend if I could borrow his Xbox One only to play it. Was it worth it? Hell yeah! Cuphead was a very challenging experience. It kicks you in the ass a lot and it even mocks you for failing. But it was in a way that makes you get better. Instances in which failure feels like bullshit are very rare. It's a game that constantly asks you to polish your skills and it continues to push yourself to keep trying. I'm not a huge fan of the platforming sections, I think they're okay. But the boss battles are where the game goes wild, taking full advantage of its incredible art style based on cartoons from the 30s. Aside from being a fantastic game overall, Cuphead is also a testament of how hard work pays off extremely well. So kudos to the Moldenhauer brothers, I'm sorry if I mispronounced it, for quitting their jobs and selling their own houses only to deliver a game of such high quality. I hope your story inspires other indie developers, and whatever you have stored for us in the future, I'll be more than glad to support you once again. I consider myself more of a Mario guy, but I'm also a huge fan of Sonic. I grew up with both series, I love the Genesis games, Adventure 2, Colors, you get the drill. But one thing that I'm trying to make clear is that Sonic definitely has had it more rough than Mario. Sonic Mania, however, is a triumphant return to the golden days of Sonic. It's a solid 2D platformer with a lot of love and care put into it. It takes a lot from the past but gives it its own twist, and then it adds even more new stuff. Every level has a lot of different ways to complete them, the controls are so responsive, and the momentum just delivers a great feeling of high speed. And the way in which this game looks is so exquisite. The characters are so well animated and the levels have a lot of detail. The funniest thing about this game is that it was made by fans. It just goes to show how sometimes a fanbase can show more love to a series than its own creators. That love stuck into me, and I ended up beating this game 3 times, and after that, I got the Plus edition on the Nintendo Switch because it was that good and I want to show as much support as I can. Christian Whitehead, thanks a lot for this. I hope your hard work shows Sega what fans really want from Sonic.
Oh no!
I'm a person who gets excited very easily, and I'm also a person who loves Metroid, so you can imagine how hard I lost my mind when on E3 2017, Nintendo announced not 1, but 2 Metroid games. Metroid Samus Returns is a remake of Return of Samus for the Game Boy, but also what we've been waiting for so long. Exploring dangerous caverns as our favorite bounty hunter as we collect items and upgrades as we delve deeper into the unknown. The new parry mechanic is satisfying to use, the boss battles are very intense, the Aeon abilities feel like great extensions of Samus' abilities, and the atmosphere recaptures that essence of isolation perfectly. I do have a few complaints though. While I do like the parry mechanic, I couldn't help but feel that its constant use brought the pacing of the game to a halt, and funny enough, this is one of the most linear 2D Metroid games out there, so getting lost is not a huge issue here. And while I do get the kick of fighting different stages of Metroid, some of these boss battles, most specifically the Gamma Metroids, padded a lot, and it was more infuriating than fun. Regardless of all that, I still greatly enjoyed this game and I think it's a solid adventure, and it filled me with immense happiness that after a long time I could finally say, Samus Aran is back! Yes, another remake of the second entry of a franchise, and yes, another Fire Emblem game. I have no shame. Shadows of Valentia is a remake of Gaiden, a Japan exclusive game, and one that I have never played, but anyway. This one is quite basic compared to the other titles, but what it brings it to the table sets it apart. No weapon triangle, only one item per unit, the exhaustion system, having dungeon exploration, Mila's turn wheel, or mages that hurt themselves while casting magic. All of that was something that brought different layers of strategies and made the game feel more unique. Again, it's nothing too complex. Shadows of Valentia's biggest flaw falls on the map design. I believe they are either very good or very bad. Any map revolving around a desert or a swamp just straight up sucks, and this game has quite a number of those. But the thing that I liked the most about this game was the cast of characters. Unlike certain other remake, this game actually does a good effort to flesh out the party that follows you on your adventure, and the superb voice acting this game has just brings out the best of their personalities. I can safely say this is one of the best cast of characters the series has had. I don't think it is the best Fire Emblem game out there, but it has the right qualities to make it a solid game overall, and definitely my favorite of the 3DS lineup. Some years ago I was honestly losing my faith in the series, but Shadows of Valentia arrived just in time to remind me why I'm a massive Fire Emblem fan.
You're very special to me, Faye. Just not in the way you want.
Xenoblade Chronicles is one of my favorite JRPGs of all time. The characters, the story, the gameplay, the music, the setting, I love every single aspect about that game, so naturally I was riding on the train for Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I was very thrown off at first by the overly anime art style of the game. This is a total turntable if you ask me. But even so, I found Xenoblade Chronicles 2 to be a fantastic, well fleshed out JRPG. The gameplay is very reminiscent of the first game, with your characters automatically attacking while you use different skills to help you out. All of this while there are a bunch of interconnected mechanics that offer a gratifying experience. The blade and driver concept is something I really like, and the fact that you can build any character any way you like while keeping in mind their strengths and weaknesses gives you a lot of options to experiment with. The story was fairly enjoyable and the characters were colorful. The world of Alres is vast, beautiful and bountiful. There's a lot to do in this game, from exploring, battling special monsters, doing side quests, or getting new blades. It's a guarantee you'll never run out of stuff to do in this game. I mean, it's my most played Nintendo Switch game for a reason. I could have put this game higher on the list, but there's a lot of flaws here and quite heavy might I add. The pacing is all over the place. I am not joking when I say it takes about 15 hours until you get full access to a lot of the combat mechanics. The field abilities can halt your entire progress entirely if you don't have the right ones. The voice acting is quite cheesy, but it grew up on me really fast. But that lip sync is really off-putting and can weaken the delivery of some lines. The story itself has some of those moments where it contains those extremely generic anime cliches and just... I find them fine for comedic relief, but on moments where the game expects me to take things seriously, no, sorry. I have a limit of how many of those I can tolerate. But the worst offender of them all is the gacha system in this game. You don't have to spend real money at least, but the ridiculous grind you go through only to get a special blade is really aggravating. And that is such a shame because every rare blade that you summon in this game has its own abilities, personality, and exclusive side quests dedicated to them. I love you, Finch. But the fact that you have to strike that ridiculously low percentage to summon them kills a lot of joy from that. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is a great game, but a great game with a lot of flaws that hold it back. But what it does right is good enough for me to consider it a worthy follow-up to one of my favorite games of all time. If there's a word that defines the entirety of Persona 5, that is style. From the moment I put this game into the console, I was absorbed by its top-notch presentation. The battles, the world, the music, the movements, even the menus. Persona 5 is a game that just visually can captivate anyone who looks at it, all of that while being a very fun game. It has over hundreds of hours of content, but it manages to keep everything in place because it knows how to keep you engaged. Whenever it is venturing into dungeons while fighting demons with an extraordinary combat system, or just exploring the streets of Tokyo to socialize with your friends, get to know them better, and thus unlock skills that can help you throughout the way. Everything you do here has some significance and nothing really feels undermined. It does have some pacing issues at the beginning and near the end, but those minor inconveniences won't change the fact that Persona 5 is a gorgeous game that stands out for its memorable cast of characters, fantastic music, an addicting, very well polished combat system, and an overflow of style. However you look at it, Persona 5 ended up setting a bar very high for many JRPGs to come. I'm gonna be honest, Zelda Breath of the Wild had me concerned for a long time. This was around the time when I was losing my faith in Nintendo because, you know, the Wii U and all that. I didn't think it was gonna suck, but I was very worried that the game would have felt empty and lifeless, but thankfully I was proven wrong, and I can say without a shadow of doubt that The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is incredible. I was mesmerized by the sense of freedom this game conveys. This world is massive, but there was no mountain high enough or a valley low enough I couldn't explore. I could go wherever I wanted, whenever I wanted. And that also extended to how I did stuff here. Zelda games previously had this one way only to do puzzles, but Breath of the Wild gave me the freedom to experiment with my arsenal and abilities to find multiple ways to move ahead. Despite its massive size, there's always something to do in every corner, no matter how insignificant something looked. If I was curious enough to explore it, chances were that I was gonna get rewarded for it. It's one of those games where I can be like, you know, I'll play Zelda for 5 minutes, and in those 5 minutes I can discover something I never seen before. This game offers a lot without feeling bloated. There is no wrong way to play it. The only rules there are the ones you make on yourself. 2017 was the year when I got introduced into a series I'd never played before, Yakuza. In just 1 year, this series has quickly escalated its way into becoming one of my absolute favorite ones, right up there with Fire Emblem. And that is quite an achievement, I gotta say. And one of the main contributors to that is Yakuza 0. This game technically released in 2015 in Japan, but there's two reasons I'm including it here. For one, this game didn't saw the light of the day in the West until 2017, and also because, what a masterpiece! The first thing that captivated me about the series was just how unique it was. I seriously had never played anything like that before. The engaging stories, the satisfying combat, the climactic boss battles, the wacky Japanese sense of humor. I have played every single mainline game in the series, well, except for the original release of these two. And I gotta say that every game has great qualities but also a number of flaws. Yakuza 0, however, picks on everything. It has the best and most rewarding combat, the best minigames, fantastic boss fights, the greatest variety in content, fantastic writing, and that story, man, it just induced a lot of feelings into me. It made me laugh, scream, cry, and I'm not ashamed to say that. It hit me like a truck. It was a ride that had me on the edge of my seat at all times, and I didn't want it to end. I don't feel like I'm doing it enough justice with this small review, so I'll tell you that if you own a PS4 or a PC, please consider trying out the Yakuza series, cause you're missing a lot. Before the release of the Nintendo Switch, I decided to wait to see what new games it was gonna get. I didn't want it to repeat the same mistake I did with the Wii U. I got it on release week. Sure, there was Zelda on the way, but I needed an extra push to convince me. That extra push was none other than... Super Mario Odyssey! Just... goddamn, where do I begin? Super Mario Odyssey takes all the best qualities from 3D Mario games and uses them in a very cohesive, funny and addictive way. Every single kingdom in this game comes to life because of the music, the atmosphere, and the very well thought design. There's so much charm, so many things to discover. All the areas are cleverly designed for you to beat them as you see fit. The possession mechanic is more than just a silly gimmick because it extends all you can do, and thus it opens the door to many new creative ways to overcome challenges. The way in which Mario moves is what I would consider near perfection. Odyssey is a game that doesn't ask you for much in order to complete it, but because of how much there is to do, you just keep looking for every nook and cranny. Odyssey is a masterpiece, not only because it's fun and rewarding, but because it's one of those games where the developer's love is so palpable you can feel it in your hand. In how it plays, in the music, the aesthetics, the energy, the attention to detail, the personality, and the vast amount of references to Mario's long history. It's impossible for me to play Super Mario Odyssey and not be filled with immense joy. I'm running the risk of sounding like a fanboy, but I don't care. This game alone made me get a Nintendo Switch, and to this day I don't regret it at all. And for that reason, Super Mario Odyssey is my favorite game of 2017. There is no doubt in my mind that 2017 was an excellent year for gaming. There was so much, I just couldn't play everything there was to offer. I missed on titles such as Resident Evil 7, Neo, Nier Automata. I actually played that one, and I liked it. So leave in the comments which games were some of your favorites, and after that, I'll be seeing you next time with the best games of 2018 video. Take care, guys.